This series was built on surprise endings, not just from episode to episode, but throughout the entire season, even mid-episode, and in some cases, especially last year, the end of the season was a big shocker of who was really who and what was going on. This season, we had some pretty gnarly things. But here we are at the end.
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing
Westworld, Episode 10, The Passanger. One lives only as long as one remembers it. That's a pretty messed up thought process, in a show full of messed up thought processes. And even though we all knew what the name of the episode was going to be about before it even aired, there was part of me that reminded me of something else. The Dark Passenger of the Dexter series, explored more in the books than in the TV show. But either way, it was just something that made me think of it. A comparison in a show full of meta comparisons. Alright, so what do I do here? What I do here is I review stories, mostly messed up things like Westworld or comic book things, try to pull apart how and why we tell stories. I do theory videos from time to time and Throwback Thursdays, but for the most part right now I'm focusing on reviews like this one. If that sounds interesting to you, then by all means, join our little community, let me know what you think, and click that little subscribe button. But the story of Westworld is a story about a park, one that I don't think I'd want to walk through. Over the last year, I've been thinking about that a lot. One part Ren Fair, one part role-playing game. But it's all one great big experiment. What happens when you can do anything? And I don't think I want to know that answer. I think after seeing all these things, there are some questions that I don't want answered about myself. Even if I want to say that they'd be good answers.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time.
So everything that was old is new once again. Teddy's dead. And William and Dolores are traveling together. He says they're one and the same, she says they're nothing alike. He's a monster. But maybe she needs a monster right now. I could go on for an hour about the whole line where William says our interests are aligned until they're not. And the whole idea of sometimes we need to fight monsters with monsters, but sometimes we create worse monsters by trying to fight monsters. But it gets even more crazy when you think about the fact that we then learn that Bernard is Dolores' son, and William can't kill Dolores because she's immortal, the immortality that he was searching for. I mean, this whole thing is so full of theme and symbolism that you could spend a month just decoding this last... There's 5 minutes worth of lines at the beginning of the end of the episode. Although early in the episode I was still questioning whether there were two Bernards or if we were still out of sync in time this late in the season. Then comes the Maeve scene. Oof. I love the fact that two different people thought they were going to try to rescue her, and her answer was, "It took you too long. I decided to rescue myself." That was just bloody awesome. Then again, one of my favorite t-shirts ever is the one my niece wears that says, "This princess can save herself." Of course, the fact that the people who we've been looking for a while now came back to rescue her. And at the end of the day, her telepathy isn't what saved the day, her humanity is. Because she didn't force someone to sacrifice themselves. Someone chose to sacrifice themselves. Then again, it was his speech anyway. Of course, no good story doesn't have a villain. And of course, Hale, the human, is the real villain. But before we can get there, we have to have the perverse, evil version of May. More perverse, less good version of Maeve? Hale does have a great line about, why do you need 4 horsemen when one will do? And, after all, she is riding a pale mare. Perhaps, maybe she is just death, come to the robots, the hosts. Clementine. And, of course, at the end of the day, even just shooting her won't stop her, because she's still physically there, uploading virus code. Hale's a bit of a bitch, but I can't believe no one considered the idea that perhaps, just perhaps, the way to stop robots is a virus. In the end, though, the power of her human heart can counteract the power of Hale's evil virus, just long enough to hold them at bay. It was actually kind of like a bad zombie apocalypse movie for a moment there as everyone was turning on each other as the virus was kicking in, and then everything went to shit. An entire group of "I'll hold the line long enough for you to get through." And then we get to what opened the door that they were trying to get to. Bernard and Dolores entered the Matrix and found a copy of all of humanity in it. And there was a great line when the computer version that was working as Logan said, "The reason everything kept falling apart is because we thought humans were too complex." And let's be honest, there's part of that that's true. Nature versus nurture, given the same stimuli 100 times, at least 99 of them you'll make the same choice. After all, are we anything more than robots? Just genetically programmed ones? Of course, the irony is that going into the episode, I really thought the passenger was Ford. But the passenger isn't the dark passenger telling you what to do. The passenger is humanity, riding along, doing what it was programmed to do, surviving at all cost. And also a hat tip to this show that made me feel for a character that I thought died last season, and I felt bad then, and I knew wasn't surviving to the end of this season. But when she got shot, just made me sit there and go, oh, my whole heart jumped into my chest. See, that's why we tell stories like this. To make us remember humanity for what it is and what it's worth. And remember that sometimes we're the worst monsters in the world. But sometimes we're the heroes, too. We each get to make a choice. We each get to write our own story. Of course, in the end, that's what William said he wanted to prove. That everyone has a choice. If you believe Ford and if you believe the others, only the hosts have that choice. Because we're pre-programmed. And when we think no one's looking, we're going to devolve into our baser instincts. And we're going to go and we're going to do the worst things imaginable. Because at the end, our core value is survival. And we don't care about anyone else as long as we get through the day. Man, that's a depressing thought. And a good reason not to ever want to go to Westworld. But then comes the other big reveals. And I'm left with so many questions, like, was the head of security a host the whole time? What did he exactly know when he looked at Hale? Did he know Hale was a host? Did he know Hale was Dolores? I mean, he obviously knew something. He was hinting at something. And if they had just ended it with that, I would have been blown away. But ending it with Dolores bringing back Bernard, her son, and then even more than that, explaining, if I were human, I wouldn't, because I know you're going to try to stop me. But together we're going to do everything we can to try to make sure that our species survives. I guess at the end of the day, you need Magneto and Xavier. And I guess we have a way of bringing back our own Xavier and Maeve, since, the people who were rooting for her and were on her side are the ones in charge of figuring out how to bring surviving hosts back. Then we get that weird ending. The one where William is a host. The one where William's going through what Mr. Delos was going through before, with his daughter trying to do the fidelity test. Mind blown! But alright, I could spend another week just talking about this. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear your thoughts on how the episode ended, and what you think is going to happen in season 3, if there is one. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to do a wrap-up video responding to what you guys have to say. But in the meantime, I need you to like and share this video, get everyone involved, click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we need to really buckle down on this one. It is a messed up story. It is a complex story. And just once again, mind blown. Getting to the heart of this story, this meta-narrative, might just be one of the most important things this channel does. I hope you have a good night, and thank you for watching.